At 78, Rob Reiner finally tells the truth about Carroll O'Connor. Rob Reiner was born Robert Reiner on March 6, 1947 in the Bronx, New York. He grew up in a house where telling stories, acting, and being creative were part of everyday life. His dad, Carl Reiner, was already a huge star in comedy, writing and acting on famous TV shows like Your Show of Shows and later making The Dick Van Dyke Show. Growing up around all that gave young Rob a front row seat to learn about comedy, timing, and telling good stories. It also taught him the ins and outs of show business, though he would later develop his own special way of making movies and acting that was different from his dad's work. Reiner first became famous as an actor in the early 1970s when he played Mitchell Meathead Stivic on the groundbreaking TV show All in the Family. His character was the liberal son-in-law who always argued with Archie Bunker, played by Carroll O'Connor. The show became one of the most important and talked about programs of its time. It used comedy to talk about serious things like race, politics, how men and women should act, and fights between different generations. Reiner's acting earned him lots of praise and respect. It wasn't just a role that made his career. It also gave him the confidence and fame he needed to try other creative things. While many actors might have stayed stuck playing the same type of character after a famous TV role, Reiner instead changed himself into a director who could make all kinds of movies. His first movie as a director was the 1984 cult classic This Is Spinal Tap, a fake documentary that has become one of the most loved comedies of all time. What made it special was its super sharp making fun of rock music culture and its straight-faced delivery, which tricked some people into thinking it was a real documentary. The movie showed Reiner's ability to find humor in ways that were both silly and true, a skill that became a special part of his career. After that, Reiner directed a bunch of movies that critics loved and made lots of money throughout the 1980s and 1990s. These included Stand By Me in 1986, a movie based on a Stephen King story that sweetly explored themes of friendship, death, and growing up from being a kid to being an adult. It's still one of the most touching growing up movies ever made. Hethan directed The Princess Bride in 1987, a movie that mixed different types of stories by combining fantasy, romance, comedy, and adventure. Though it didn't make tons of money at first, it became a cult classic and is now thought of as one of the most universally loved movies in cinema history. Reiner's ability to do different things out again with When Harry Met Sally in 1989, a romantic comedy that changed the whole genre with its smart dialogue, real exploration of relationships, and unforgettable moments like the famous restaurant scene. The movie was a cultural milestone and helped make his reputation as a filmmaker who could mix humor with deep human truths. He followed this with intense military courtroom drama A Few Good Men in 1992, which showed his ability to handle high-stakes drama with the same skill he had brought to comedy and romance. The movie had some of the most famous lines in cinema, including Jack Nicholson's "You Can't Handle the Truth," which has become a part of American pop culture. Audiences first noticed how good he was at different things when he appeared in the very dark comedy Throw Mama from the Train in 1987, a movie that put him with Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito, and gave Reiner a chance to show his sharp comic timing. He kept reminding viewers of his acting range in Nora Ephron's beloved romantic classic Sleepless in Seattle in 1993, playing a role that added humor and heart to the story of love and second chances. Woody Allen then used Reiner's skill for weird comedy by casting him in Bullets Over Broadway in 1994, where he proved he could do great in witty, fast-paced talking. From there, Reiner showed up in a bunch of movies during the 1990s that made his reputation as a reliable and likable supporting actor, including The First Wives Club in 1996, the political drama Primary Colors in 1998, and Ron Howard's Making Fun of Look at Reality Television, EdTV in 1999. Each performance, while different in feeling, showed Reiner's ability to fit into whatever story he was part of. Reiner also often appeared in his own movies, usually giving himself roles that let him make fun of Hollywood while helping to tell the story. His most famous self-casting is still his turn as Faka documentary and Marty DeBergi in This Is Spinal Tap 1984, the cult rock Faka documentary he directed that became a cornerstone of comedy film. He later gave himself parts in The Story of Us in 1999, and Alex and Emma in 2003, where he balanced humor and feelings, as well as a more serious supporting role in Shock on Dawe in 2017. His journalism drama about reporters investigating the Bush administration's case for the Iraq War. These performances showed his ability to shift from making fun of things to being serious without ever feeling out of place beyond scripted roles. Reiner has often been willing to make fun of his public image. He made playful appearances in comedies like Dickie Roberts, former child star 2003, where his willingness to make fun of himself showed his self-awareness, and in 30 Rock 2010, where his appearance was a clever wink to fans who knew him as both an insider and someone who makes fun of Hollywood. He later charmed a new generation of viewers with repeat appearances on the hit series New Girl 2012-2018, where his character added depth and warmth to the quirky group cast, and in 2013, he surprised audiences with a role in Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street, holding his own alongside Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie filled with energy, chaos, and sharp performances. Even in recent years, Reiner has kept reminding audiences that he's still important. In December 2023, he opened the primetime CBS special Dick Van Dyke, 98 Years of Magic, with a heartfelt tribute and on-camera conversation with Dick Van Dyke himself, connecting different generations of entertainment history. For viewers, the moment was a reminder that Reiner is not just someone who took part in Hollywood's story. He is a living connection between the golden age of television, the groundbreaking films of the late 20th century, and the changing landscape of today's entertainment. Rob Reiner's personal life has been marked by two important marriages that shaped not only his family but also the path of his creative journey. In 1971, at the height of his growing fame as an actor and before his career as a director had taken off, Reiner married actress and director Penny Marshall. Marshall was already a well-known person in the entertainment industry, known for her comedic charm and her rising career that would later blossom with her work on the beloved sitcom Laverne and Shirley, and her future success as a groundbreaking film director in Hollywood. Their marriage put two highly creative people under the same roof, both deeply embedded in the entertainment world. During their marriage, Reiner legally adopted Marshall's daughter, Tracy Reiner, who was born in 1964 from Marshall's earlier marriage to Michael Henry. Tracy would go on to carve out her own career as an actress, appearing in a number of well-known films, including A League of Their Own, Apollo 13, and Die Hard. Though Rob Reiner and Penny Marshall finally divorced in 1981 after 10 years together, their union had lasting importance not only in shaping Tracy's life, but also in cementing bonds within Hollywood's interconnected creative community. Even after their split, both remained influential figures in the film and television world, and their time together continues to be remembered as a team when two trailblazing artists shared both personal and professional lives. Several years after his divorce, Rob Reiner's personal life took another important turn during the making of one of his most famous films. While directing the 1989 romantic comedy When Harry Met Sally, Reiner met photographer Michelle Singer. Their meeting was lucky, not only changing direction of Reiner's personal life, but even influencing the film itself. According to Reiner, his relationship with Singer inspired him to change the originality of the movie. At first, he had planned for the two main characters played by Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan to go separate ways without a romantic ending. However, after falling in love with Singer, Reiner reconsidered, deciding instead to give audiences the now famous happy ending that helped make When Harry Met Sally one of the most celebrated romantic comedies of all time. Beyond its movie impact, their connection blossomed into a lifelong partnership, and Reiner married Michael Lesinger later that same year in 1989. Together they built a family, welcoming 3 children into their lives. Jake, born in 1991, who would later follow in his father's footsteps with a career in acting. Nick, born in 1993, who pursued a path as a writer and has spoken openly about personal struggles, even inspiring Reiner's 2015 film Being Charlie. Andremy, born in 1997, the youngest of their inner children. Their family life has been one of stability and love, with Reiner often crediting Michelle for bringing joy, balance, and renewed purpose into his life. In many ways, his marriage to Michael Lesinger not only influenced one of his most famous films, but also gave him the grounding and inspiration to continue his long multifaceted career in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, now a celebrated director, actor, and activist, has lived a life filled with remarkable experiences in Hollywood. But one of the most important and meaningful periods of his career came when he worked alongside Carroll O'Connor, the legendary actor who played Archie Bunker on All in the Family. For years, fans wondered about what the relationship was like between Reiner, who played the liberal son-in-law Michael Meathead Stivic, and O'Connor, who played the bigoted but strangely lovable patriarch Archie Bunker. Now, at the age of 78, Reiner has spoken openly about the relationship, putting to rest both rumors and wrong ideas. Reiner remembered those early days of All in the Family with a mixture of wonder and deep respect. Carroll O'Connor was one of the most brilliant actors I have ever had the privilege of working with, Reiner admitted. What people don't always realize is how much of that role came from his incredible intelligence and thoughtfulness. Archie Bunker could have easily been a cartoon, just a one-note fake character, but Carroll gave him humanity. He gave him depth. He mattered someone you hated, but also someone you weirdly understood. That was Carroll's genius. For many years, there were stories going around that Reiner and O'Connor didn't get along because of the political and generational divide their characters present. Some fans assumed that the fiery exchanges on screen mirrored real-life tension off-screen. Reiner cleared this up. We didn't fight off camera. We didn't hate each other. Quite the opposite. We had enormous affection for each other. Carroll was like a mentor to me. I learned so much from just watching him work. How he could control a scene with just a look or a pause. I was in awe of him. Still, Reiner admitted that the weight of acting opposite someone as commanding as O'Connor was intimidating. Every time I went into a scene with Carroll, I had Tobe at the top of my game. He pushed me to better without ever saying a word about it. He just set such a high bar as an actor that you had to rise to meet it. The show itself dealt with controversial topics, racism, sexism, war, politics, and often sparked heated debates across America. Reiner credited O'Connor for being fearless in taking on such a role. Carroll knew exactly what he was doing. He knew Archie was going to push people's buttons and he embraced that. He once told me, if people aren't uncomfortable, then we're not doing our job. That stuck with me my whole career. That idea that art's whole challenge, not just comfort, has guided me as a filmmaker. Reiner also spoke about the personal side of O'Connor, describing him as playful, warm, and even shy. Off it, Carroll was very different from Archie. He was gentle, he was kind, and he was always reading. He was an intellectual. People who only knew Archie Bunker would be shocked to see the real Carroll. He hated bigotry. He hated the very things Archie stood for, but he played them with such honesty that people sometimes got confused. But Carroll never confused himself. He knew exactly where he stood. As time went on, Reiner and O'Connor maintained a friendship, and Reiner admitted that O'Connor's influence in his life extended well beyond the years of All in the Family. He showed me that you could use humor to open people's minds. He showed me that an actor's job is to make people feel, even if it makes them uncomfortable. I carried that with me into directing films like Stand By Me and A Few Good Men. That's Carroll's influence right there. When asked if there was one thing he wanted the world to know about O'Connor, Reiner grew thoughtful. The truth is, Carroll O'Connor was one of the kindest men I ever met in this business. People saw Archie and thought maybe Carroll had a little off-hat in him, but he didn't. He was generous, he was supportive, and he cared deeply about people. I think the world misunderstood him sometimes because the character was so strong, but Carroll himself was nothing like Archie. And I feel lucky, really lucky, that I got to know him. At 78, Rob Reiner's words carry the weight of a long and distinguished career. And his tribute to Carroll O'Connor not only clears away old misconceptions but also shines a light on the legacy of an actor whose work continues to resonate decades later. I loved him, Reiner concluded simply. He wasn't just my co-star, he was my teacher, my friend, and one of the greats.